What's up, Vikings Nation? Are you ready for one of the most important moments of the offseason? Because today we're diving deep into the latest Minnesota Vikings draft buzz. And trust me, what the experts are predicting could completely reshape this team's future. Stay with me because one name keeps showing up again and again, and it might just be the next defensive star in purple and gold. The energy around the Minnesota Vikings right now is intense, and even though free agency didn't explode with blockbuster moves, it quietly revealed something huge. This roster still has key gaps that must be addressed. And here's the twist. The direction the team takes in the draft could define the next era of Vikings football. So the big question is, are we going defense, or is there a surprise coming? Before we break everything down, I want to hear from you. If the draft was today, what position would you prioritize at pick 18? Safety? Defensive tackle? Or would you shock everyone and go offense? Drop your take in the comments because this debate is heating up fast. Let's set the stage here, because the past week gave us some subtle but very important clues. The addition of cornerback James Pierre brought a bit more depth to the secondary, which slightly lowers the urgency at that position. Not eliminates it, but definitely shifts the focus elsewhere. Now flip to the defensive line. The departures of Jonathan Allen and Javon Hargrave, two big names, suddenly put a spotlight on defensive tackle. That interior presence? It's now one of the biggest needs on the roster. And if you watched the Vikings last season, you know how important that is for Brian Flores' system. And then there's the safety position, the elephant in the room. We're still waiting on Harrison Smith. Will the veteran return for another season? Or are we witnessing the end of an era? That uncertainty alone makes safety one of the hottest topics in all Minnesota Vikings news right now. Let's talk about the name that keeps popping up everywhere, Dylan Thieneman. According to Mel Kiper Jr., this guy might be the perfect fit for the Vikings. And honestly, it's not hard to see why. Thieneman has that instinctive ability to read quarterbacks and react instantly, something that made Harrison Smith a legend in Minnesota. You can already imagine Brian Flores moving him all over the field, creating chaos for opposing offenses. But here's where it gets interesting. Some fans are starting to feel like this pick is almost too obvious. You ever get that feeling? Like everything lines up just a little too perfectly? Still, the fit is real, and Thieneman's versatility could make him a day-one impact player. Daniel Jeremiah basically echoed the same thing, saying every time he tries to mock someone else to the Vikings, he ends up back at Thieneman. That says a lot. When multiple top analysts keep landing on the same player, it's not by accident. But let me challenge you here. Would you be happy with a safety at 18 overall? Or do you think the positional value just isn't there? Because that's where this debate gets really interesting among Vikings fans. Now let's shake things up a bit. Connor Rogers introduced a different scenario. And honestly, I love this one. Instead of staying at 18, the Vikings trade down to 24 and still land a top defensive prospect. The name here? Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, a physical, downhill safety who thrives on creating turnovers. This guy brings attitude, aggression, and playmaking ability, everything you want in a Flores defense. And here's the best part, you gain an extra top 100 pick in the process. That's huge. More draft capital means more chances to inject young talent into this roster. Vikings fans, imagine walking away with both a top safety and another key contributor. Now let's move into the trenches, because some analysts believe the real answer isn't in the secondary. It's on the defensive line. And this is where Caden McDonald enters the conversation. He's not flashy. He's not the guy making highlight reels every week. But what he does is something this defense desperately needs. He eats blocks and stops the run. Sometimes it's not about the superstar. It's about the glue that makes everything else work. Think about it. Brian Flores thrives on creativity, pressure packages, and confusion. But all of that only works if the front line does its job. McDonald could be that anchor, allowing playmakers behind him to shine. And then we have one of the most intriguing prospects of them all, Peter Woods. At one point, this guy was projected as a top 10 pick. The talent? It's undeniable. But his most recent season raised questions. Production dipped, and now teams are trying to figure out why. Was it scheme? Was it development? Or was it something deeper? Here's the gamble. If the Minnesota Vikings believe they can unlock his full potential, Woods could turn into an absolute steal. We're talking about a player with elite athleticism and raw power, the kind of guy who could become a cornerstone of the defense. So now I throw it back to you, Vikings Nation. Do you play it safe with a proven fit like Thieneman? Do you get aggressive and trade down for value? Or do you swing for the fences with a high upside prospect like Woods? This is where championships are built, decisions like this. One pick can change everything. And right now, the Minnesota Vikings are standing at a crossroads that could define their future for years to come. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Minnesota Vikings news, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Vikings updates. And don't forget, share this video with another Vikings fan, and let's keep this conversation going strong. Skol.